On this week's show, we're discussing the future of the games industry as PlayStation goes all digital, will Xbox and Nintendo follow suit, and what does this mean for the second-hand gaming market? All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we usually round up all the week's video game stories and news for your listening or viewing pleasure, right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and up there in the digital clouds on your podcast preference of choice. But the news hasn't happened yet because we're in the past. So, full disclosure, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, we are recording this a week in advance because both of us are on holiday at the same time for the first time in 6 years. And it just meant that we
not together.
Just
we could be.
Yeah, so we're recording this week in the house. So there is no news in this show.
Do you want to predict some?
Oh God, Xbox is going to stand on the rake. PlayStation going to piss everyone else off, and Nintendo are just. There's not going to be any news yet.
Take over quietly.
Yeah. And Amazon are going to announce a Superman game, a tie-in to an animated.
There's been more layoffs in the industry. Some studios probably been closed down. A game we thought was in development has been cancelled. Probably some good shoe-in bets to put some money on this time round. But we're on holiday, so we thought, what can we do? We'll pick a subject out for our viewers and audio listeners out there. And what better one to really hone in on the shit state of physical media, or the lack thereof in the years to come, that we both love so much and our audience holds so dearly. Alas, we need to pour one out for the disc and cartridge generations.
Indeed. But we do have a great show for you lined up. But before we get into it, don't forget to like the channel, subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you're kept in the loop with all our amazing content here at GamerGuildTV, such as whatever weekly live stream we've put up, which hasn't happened yet, so
probably a PlayStation retro hunt.
Yeah, probably a PlayStation retro hunt, so stay tuned for that. This is why you need to hit the bell so you know what's happening,
because we don't
exactly why, because right now we don't, as recording, know what that's going to be. So I'm going to skip the what we've been playing section because we've covered it in last week's episode and we haven't played anything in between recordings. So
on the plane, I'm planning on taking my Switch 2, so I reckon I'll have dabbled a little bit in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Classic, because that's one of my go-to plane games where I just start making a park. I've got a 2 and a bit 3-hour flight. Tick tick tick. That's all. My
intention is just to play Link's Awakening till I go on holiday, and considering I fly on Tuesday, and we're recording this on the Friday, I've only got 2 days. So it's not like I have, 3 days, but it's not like I have loads of time, and I'm not taking any games on the holiday with me.
That's true. Everyone should let us know what they're playing in the comments. Yeah. That's the best way to get this section done.
What length of flight does it need to be before it starts making it worthwhile just bringing something like a Switch?
I think I have always... No, have I really? I'm not too sure. Because you've got that risk-reward thing where if you take your Switch abroad, what are the chances it gets nicked? Yeah. You're just you're travelling a lot with it, it's in your backpack, it's in your hotel.
Put a slight modifier here. I'm not including solo travel. Solo travel is different. I don't think I would, if I was travelling on my own, I would always just chuck my Switch in my bag.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the airport, but sometimes you might have a couple of hours in your hotel and stuff but yeah.
Well, this is why I've always enjoyed long-haul flights. When I've done New York and Florida a few times, you get so much stuff done. You can watch entire TV series, you can play through entire campaigns on a game, and now the portability we've got in today's day and age with tablets where you can just download entire Netflix, Disney Plus shows, or you can take something as fantastic as a Switch 2 on, you could just take Nintendo's entire library on the move with you without needing the internet. It just plays locally using a physical cartridge.
I was going to say that, actually, I wasn't intending that, but that links into this episode nicely. But yeah, I feel like because I'm only going to Spain 1 or 2 hours, it's just not worth packing. I feel like when you
especially if you've got a luggage allowance.
Yeah. which I'm usually fine on. I don't have a child. I have to work into that sports. Like, I feel like I need to be at least 3 hours before I'll consider it.
Do you think I put my child in with the luggage?
No, but you're carrying extra stuff. That
Yeah, but
you are carrying
you get a bigger
another
allowance.
person's stuff. Like, so you
They get their own allowance.
Yeah,
So now between three of us, we have 66 kilograms, which is way too much than we need for a week.
Yeah, I was going to say,
abroad.
like, when me and my
I
partner,
could pack a child
when
if
me
I
and my
wanted
partner
to.
travel, I never take a carry-on. I just try my 22 kilos, and I think we only take one carry-on between us because we just don't need anything.
No, I mean, I travel light. I'm quite content. We've done like Krakow before and stuff where I'm just happy with a backpack. For just a couple of days, a couple of t-shirts, a couple of socks, underpants, your toiletries, and you're good to go. And if anything goes wrong, you're an adult, you can just go buy replacements.
Well, in Krakow, I had to buy a replacement suitcase. And
You did, yeah. That's something most people don't have to buy, but that was a funny day when we had to go to reception and sellotape. Ask for some sellotape.
It wasn't sellotape, it was cling film.
Cling film, yeah. We vacuum sealed Richie's suitcase.
Sat in the back of an
keep
Uber
it
trying to
fresh.
figure out where in Krakow I can buy a suitcase.
It took a surprisingly long amount of time, actually.
Yeah. Oh,
But we did
I
it.
found somewhere. Anyway,
It survived.
there's no real news section, Chris, but if there was, it would be brought to you by our wonderful Guild Heroes, which you can join for as little 9p over on the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for your support.
The news!
They're not news. PlayStation has declared war on physical media.
Bastards.
That's the end of the show. It's like, that sums up our views on this.
Well, I think a lot of this spawned, this idea of a standalone discussion episode spawned from, obviously a couple of weeks ago they announced that they hate everyone and they hate the legacy and the history and everything else, and the PlayStation blog essentially allured to...
They're not making enough money, Chris. They need to make more
apparently
money.
so. As of 2028, January specifically, new games releasing on PlayStation consoles, so that's everything, that's whatever the PS6 will be, PS5, PS4, they will cancel it. Done. Disc format is no more. They went on to give us some utter crap like this is a natural direction, consumer trends, preference for digital. It's not. Just it makes them more money because it's less cost input.
That's your excuse because you've realised the numbers are in your favour. That doing this isn't going to piss off too many people relative to how many customers you have. That's
and then
not why
ironically,
you're doing it. No one accepts that's why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. And then ironically, last week, before we went on holiday, PlayStation Network appeared to be struggling globally, and the official PlayStation status said all services are up and running, but it wasn't. They were down. Entire networks were down, including game downloads, the PlayStation app. Everyone over at Push Square who reported on this initially was saying they were all experiencing technical issues and their mileage varies. Some could get into the PS Store, but it was mostly broken. Some people could get into the web-based PlayStation Store, but then that started showing offline. Unfortunately as well, poor Marvel Tokon, the beta started the same day and the network error was popping up. An online fighting game launched on the day and network outage went down. We then got some updates. Marvel did. It went on to say that they got some updates basically saying, after an outage which knocked most PSN features offline, the service will begin to recover. But essentially, all in all, it was down over 6 hours. They cited things like it was down to Amazon Web Services for the PlayStation downside. They issued a statement saying as routes continue to be restored, customers should be seeing a continued reduction in error rates and timeouts when connecting to affected services. We're monitoring recovery progress slowly and will continue working until all routes have been fully restored. We'll provide another update in the next 45 minutes. Then we started clicking through content on the PlayStation Store and it would bring messages like content cannot be found. And then it kind of went on and on like that. But basically, overall, from downtime to restored, it took around 6 hours to be completely repaired. And that adds a nice string to the bow.
And
Richie.
most of the time, Sony was denying those issues.
But it goes back to what happens if we have another outage, like the PSN outage that happened in 2011 when it was down over Christmas for 24 days due to, I think it was like hacking or breaches in security, and they had to lock everything down. Nearly a month it was down in 2011. Pure SOCOM, I believe it was, got absolutely shafted because it was an online-only game and no one could play it. So it got done that Christmas. But the biggest crux, I think, for you and me is PlayStation started this war.
and then
on consumers.
immediately give us more ammo.
It just goes to show you, like, the fragility of, it's all well and good saying consumer trends, and yes, the vast majority, I totally hand on heart understand that.
No one denies that. To be honest, I think everyone assumes Sony are exaggerating a bit, maybe using the way they're counting the numbers to skew it in the favour of what they want to do. But in general, everyone, I think, is aware physical media purchases is on the decline, and eventually this was going to happen. But that doesn't mean that we want it to happen or we even like it. But you know what I was doing during the PlayStation outage, Chris? I was playing this on my Switch without an issue. Because
perfectly
I have a
fine.
cartridge in there.
And it worked. Did you? Were you actually intending to go on the PlayStation?
Nope. I made the decision to start playing Zelda before I even knew about the outage. Just because I wanted to save Pragmata hard playthrough till I got back from holiday, because I was like, I'm not gonna have time to finish it fully, and I'd rather not get like 2/3 of the way through a hard playthrough, go away for a week, come back and go, God, this is where am I, what am I doing? I'd rather go, you know what, fresh, let's go.
Yeah. Well, we got other updates, I guess, in the time since this past. Ubisoft's ever favourite CEO, Yves Guillemot, has chimed in on the debate, saying that he doesn't think that it will disturb the industry too much. He was prompted to speak on the topic at last week's Ubisoft financial call, which saw the company reveal Assassin's Creed Black Flag has sold over 3.5 million units.
Yeah, but it's a broken mess, so...
Clap, clap, clap. However, he was not worried that Sony's decision would have a direct or indirect impact on the games industry. He responded saying, we saw on the PC is that it's helped grow the market. There are some pressures for the future of cost of machines, and being able to only buy digitally will help have a more accessible machine. I would say there are pluses and minuses, but we think it will not disturb the industry too much anyway.
You know what? I think he's right.
I mean, yes, he's right, because people, if you want to play the game, you're going to buy it anyway. All these people who are stamping their feet right now and saying, I'm not getting a PS6, I'm not going. As soon as the next game you want to play comes out and it's only available through those means, your arm will be twisted. Like, it just will come a day. I know, like, you're not keen on a PS6 launch day, you've got no real reason to buy it, but there will be a time in the next decade when you'll go, you know what? Uncharted 5, The Last of Us 3, like, I want to play that, and you'll start to think about it.
I'm very much... me not being interested in the PS6 had nothing to do with physical digital media. It was purely because prices keep going up. I feel like I don't need an upgrade in my PS5 right now, so why spend a huge amount of money on a console that is unnecessary? I'm not excited for it. I would quite happily have the PS5 for another 10 years.
Yeah,
that's where I feel
I'm in
now.
same boat.
I'm probably in the next few months going to finally buy a Switch 2.
Woohoo!
But what Sony's doing, though, is pushing me more into the Nintendo's ecosystem right now. Because if it's a choice between playing a game, buying a physical game on my Switch 2, or for the same price buying a digital copy of my PlayStation 5, I might go Switch. So then we're at the situation where I've been at with the Switch 2 is I'm been waiting for that killer app, that one title. This is a must-play for me personally, before I even consider PS6, and I reckon that's at least 5 years away from where we're at now, because we're going to have a long cross-generation period unless they artificially shrink it to force the sales of PS6, which I can see them doing. But
I think it's just disappointment through and through, isn't it? From like a PlayStation standpoint, as people who lean more towards that camp anyway, to get 25, 30 years in to its existence, and then to look back at every generation for them to just go, we're done.
Yeah.
We're not doing it. Like, the hand hasn't been forced. It's not like printing a disc has gone astronomically up. Like, you're basically just burning a disc, right? They've got the factories, they've got the means of production, they have the staff, they've got the distribution networks. Nothing's really been disrupted in that world other than, I guess, costing in between it. But ultimately, it's about your end goal customer and that option for consumer choice, and whether you've got poor internet, or maybe you just want to buy something to gift to somebody, or, as you said, video game preservation, and just having something on your shelf because you are buying a product and you would like to have it on your shelf. They are taking that away by choice, purely because it'll save a couple of pennies in the long run.
Yeah, and
I don't like
they're
it.
going to make a lot more money out of this. And the thing for me is, when you look over the generations, Sony exited the PlayStation 4 generation on a huge high from such a strong generation, arguably the strongest console generation we've ever had.
Yep.
PS5 generation to date has been disappointing. I think it's fair to say. There's been some good titles, absolutely, but they've floundered around a lot with dicking around trying to make a games as a service thing and cancelling everything. So a lot of the big hitters are yet to bring out a new title in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as we're getting towards the end of the generation, they're setting up the next generation to be even more disappointing. They're making decisions that are very anti-consumer, that really just people... I'm not surprised a lot of people are going. Like, the anger I think Sony is facing right now is not just this decision. I think it's this generation as well. It's like...
Yeah.
But it's like you've squandered the good faith people you earned in the PS4 generation. You completely squandered it all this generation. And now you're going into the next generation where people are going to be more reluctant to buy consoles because prices have been continually going up. Gaming is becoming a luxury hobby rather than a mass market one.
Yep.
I've said this about Xbox. They need to play the cards very carefully here going to the next generation. Big pillars of the gaming industry have died before. I'm being dramatic there, but this is going to be a rocky next 10 years, I think, for Sony with the current decision making.
Yeah.
Financially, but the thing is, though, they will be fine, but will they sell enough PS6s to offset the investment? Will people be buying enough digital games, or will people just reduce how many games they're buying? Because once they're digital only, the sales are going to... I reckon PlayStation sales are going to reduce in frequency. Games are going to hold the price for longer. They're not going to depreciate as quick because they're not going to be sat in a warehouse somewhere with the likes of, say, Amazon wanting to shift them. So while people like Yves Guillemot are saying it won't have an impact on the industry, in the long run, it won't.
It's going to change it.
If you're looking at your sales and 90% of them are digital, you're going, who cares about the 10%? We'll make more money off the digital anyway. You might get...
Well,
you might lose 5% of your player base, but you'll keep 5%. That would physical only. And you'll make more money.
Yeah. Well, we know we've seen it, haven't we, from Xbox's strategy of saying, like, they're basically at damage limitations where they've got their captive audience of 30 million Game Pass players or whatever, and they're quite happy to basically lock in on them and say, let's just get money out of these people. Let's commit to our brands that we know our audience likes, and let's go. PlayStation tried the live service thing, and now I think they're doing the same thing where they look at the market, go, it's so saturated, we're not really gaining any more new people. Let's just lock in the audience we have, the people who we've had from PS1, 2, 3, 4, now into 5. Those ranges from 10 all the way up to our age, 35, 40 plus. Let's just lock them in, and once they're in that ecosystem, they ain't going anywhere because we've got their entire library, and it's the same reason people stick with Netflix. It's the same people with Disney Plus, but the difference with gaming is you've invested into a library that's arguably worth, like you and me, probably thousands now. Even though we buy mostly physical, we will have a good couple of £100 worth of digital-only titles that we bought over the years where we had no choice. But the difference now is we don't have a choice because it's locked in. We did it on the podcast, but if you want to run a quick example now, I think Saros is on sale on Amazon, 39% off, brings it down to $43.99. I guarantee you Saros is probably still full price on the PSN. If it's not down for an outage, lol.
If it's up, I'll try. PlayStation. I'm on the PlayStation Store. Saros,
which, bear in mind, only came out what, 2 months ago.
So, okay. Which version do you want to look at?
Just
normal
the basic
or the digital
standard version. Just the normal.
I'm going to tell you both actually because it's actually slightly interesting. The base version is $69.99, or you can get on PlayStation Plus Premium. The digital deluxe version is currently on a 23% sale. It's $61.59. So if you're interested in Saros' digital deluxe,
right.
there you go. That's the one.
Right. So basically, right now, Amazon are doing it for 39% less. Great.
Yeah.
What other examples?
Discs.
Yeah. But that's why it's wild to think that it's just there.
You know what? Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It's a recent title. It's third party. Creed Black Flag. Because this might be a better example than Saros because it's so recent. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. What have you got for me on Amazon?
£42.19.
$49.99.
So still more expensive. But again, that's Ubisoft. Ubisoft will probably dictate to PlayStation what the price could be.
But for me, though, I'm in a two-console household. My partner also plays games. So if we were to both buy this game, because we both wanted to play it, on PlayStation Store, that costs us £100. As long as one of us is willing to wait, which usually that is the case, it'll cost us less than half of that physical, because I can just borrow a hair disc. Yeah.
Do you want to go for one last one?
Yeah,
give us another big PlayStation one.
Big PlayStation Store game. What's the last big PlayStation game?
Let's go.
Wolverine.
Actually, you know what?
Are the pre-orders up for Wolverine?
I mean, yeah, that should be the same. You'd think, because it hasn't came out yet. Wolverine on Amazon, $62.99, 10% off, and it hasn't even launched yet.
$69.99. And again,
so cheaper hasn't even came out.
My analogy for Black Flag still stands. If we because actually one of the reasons I picked Wolverine is depending what happens with Ocarina of Time, me and Nat are planning to buy 2 copies of Wolverine and then trade one in. If we were to do that digitally, we do not have the ability to trade it in, and we will have to commit to £70 each, rather than what about instead of we'll be paying £140 each, full stop, versus physical where we would pay £125 between us, and then potentially get maybe 30-40 quid back.
Crazy.
So probably around about £100 versus 140 by the time we've traded in.
Do me one last check for Astrobot, will you please? The Game of the Year award winning. Purely because this is the one aimed at like kids and families. So if you've got like a young family and they're looking to like get some titles for them on your PlayStation, it's
currently on sale, so I'm going to ignore the sale price because it may not be
forever.
Yeah, $59.99 is the retail.
£60.
Yeah.
That's currently, and I know it's held its price quite strong, even though it's nearly 3-year-old this Christmas. It's $31.99 on Amazon, 47% off.
Well, I said it's on sale on the PlayStation Store. The sale price is $42, so you're still better off just buying that.
It's still a tenner cheaper. Yeah. I just wanted to get that one in, more so just so I can show off my cool new hoodie guy.
I knew what you were
I just need an excuse to get him in there.
But Astrobot, actually, going back to trading in games, both bought Ghost of Yotai. Nat traded a hair copy in, and we bought Astrobot with the proceeds. So I literally went and go, I'd like to trade that in, and I'll have this, please.
Yeah, which is what they don't want, right? They want you to be beholden to all them prices that we've just discussed there, and that's how you'll have to do it. That's how you like it.
So when they talk about this being because of trends and more people buying digital media, this is why I say it's bullshit. What they're trying to do is harm my arguably consumer rights to trade in something that I have purchased, or to buy something off you, Chris. I could, if you wanted to, you could sell me one of the games that are on the shelf behind you.
I'll sell you
any of your digital library.
I'll sell you my sealed copy of Concord for £200.
I thought you were going to say one of your like 4 copies of Tomb Raider.
No, they're PS1.
Yeah.
Depends if you want modern or old. But yes, the point stands.
The point stands. It's like you could sell me one of them games, but you can't sell any the games you bought digitally.
Mm-hmm. Or if I die, someone will inherit them because they're just sat here in my house ready to go. They're not locked behind a password that nobody knows.
I haven't read the terms and conditions for a PlayStation account, but I can guarantee there's stuff in there about trading accounts that prohibit. So if you were
100%.
So if you were to pass away, that library is then no longer no one else is entitled to use it because you have a license to it and no one else does. Do
you think internally they have an expiration date? Like, our accounts have like our year of birth. Do you know, like, certain websites get to, like, 100 years and, like, no one lives really beyond that, so, like, it caps out? Do you think when a PSN account reaches 100-year-old, it just goes, that's impossible, that person must be dead by now?
There might be something in the terms and conditions that say if you're inactive for over 10 years, you may lose access.
It's not, no, sorry, it's not even 10 years. This has came up as part of the argument. Watch, it's 3 years of inactivity, I believe. PSN inactivity, yeah. PSN deactivate account. Where was it at?
So,
not how to deactivate.
A bad thing happens, you're in a coma for 3 years, you wake up and the entire PlayStation collection is gone.
Let's have a look.
You go to university and your PlayStation collection's gone. You literally, you could be like, you know what, I'm going to university, I'm going to step away from games to focus on my studies. When I come out the other end, I'll get back into it. You buy a new PlayStation, all your games are gone. Like,
there you go. So this is from levelup.com. PlayStation is hardly gamers' good graces at the moment. Just days ago, the company announced plans, blah, 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 blah. Sony regularly revises its terms and conditions, though most users scroll past the updates and click accept without a second glance. But in the wake of the physical media controversy, players took a closer look and unearthed a provision that effectively permits Sony to close an inactive PSN account and erase all associated digital purchases spanning PS3, 4, 5, and beyond. According to Article 21.1 of the document, if a PSN account remains idle for 36 consecutive months, that's 3 years, Sony reserves the right to permanently delete it. The account holder would consequently forfeit access to their entire game library and any other digital content tied to the profile. The text stresses that such a termination is irreversible. The following section outlines a narrow window for recourse. After the 3-year inactivity period elapses, Sony will notify the user via email address on file. The account owner then has 6 months to log back into the account or contact the company to request the profile to be preserved. Failure to do so triggers the deletion process. After your account is closed, you will not be able to access the PlayStation Online service or use the digital products purchased with that account. Account closure is irreversible, states the Section 21.3 of the agreement.
I'm sure this is going to happen to someone, and then there's going to be some consumer rights lawyers get involved in this. This could be... They're playing with fire here. They really are. Like...
So yeah, if you go into a coma for 3 years and then wake up and just try and play your games...
You step away from gaming... Like, how many people like have become parents and go, I'm not
oh, yeah.
Go say, I don't know, hypothetically, you're expecting father, you go, right, I'm going to sell my PS5, I haven't touched it in 6 months, I'm going to sell it, selling my physical games, I'm not going to bother with PS6, I don't have the time. A few years down the line, 5 years later, you go, you know what, I really want to get back into gaming. It's been a while, I've got kids getting a bit older now, getting a bit more free time back.
I had 200 games in my library.
Where's my account?
You're not wrong.
You didn't see the bloody email.
Yeah. Even a more real-time example, Richie, would be last gen. You had a PS4, you spent hundreds on PS4 games, digital, but then the new generation came along and you went, you know what, I'm going to get a Series S because it's more affordable. I can't afford a PS4 right now. I'll get a PS5 right now, sorry. I'll get a Series S. It's the next best thing I can get to next gen. All digital. You go in on Game Pass, because Game Pass was, what, £1, $1 at the time? You get the great deal. You play all the Halo games, Gears. You have a great time on Xbox. And like I said, you basically stick with Xbox for this generation. PS6 comes out, and as you said, you go, you know what? I liked Xbox, but I'm going to go back to PlayStation because of their exclusives or whatever other reason. You've got a better job, you can afford more, or kids, everything you said. So all you've done is skipped PS5 because you went to Xbox for a generation, and you come back 7-8 years later, it's all gone. Your entire PS4 library burnt to a crisp by terms and conditions.
That's a fairly extreme example. I want to remind you as well that around the same time of this announcement, PlayStation pulled some movies that had previously been perked from people's libraries, preventing them from re-downloading them or re-watching them. They just pulled the license. So they can do that to your games as well. If they can do it with movies, they can do it in games. If they're willing to do it with movies, they're willing to do it with games. You could play, I don't know, you might be playing The Last of Us, Uncharted, Nathan Drake collection. You're playing that. They announce a remake of Uncharted 1. They just, license gone. No one can play that version anymore. Because we want you to buy the new one.
Well, we've seen it, haven't we? When they've brought out a new version, they delist the other one in the hope that they'll funnel it. I feel like they did it with Metal Gear. They've done it with
PT, but that's a weird one. But if it's delisted, you can usually still download it because it's still in your library. With the movie situation, they removed it from your library.
I mean, if you're talking about delisted ones, the Activision Marvel games, even if you bought Captain America, Thor, Deadpool, they're not downloadable. They are not on the storefront at all because of licensing. Yeah. Music games, the Bond games, they're gone because of licensing. The Forza games get pulled every other year, right? Yeah, let's they only pull the plug on them.
I think we need to move the conversation on a bit.
Let's pivot to Xbox.
Xbox. What is Xbox stance in gaming? In gaming, they like gaming. It's their thing.
I mean, they've got a decision to make, right? Ahead of Project Helix. Asher Sharma's there, ticking all the right optic boxes, getting all of her little wins. Would the biggest win of all time be that Project Helix will come with a disk drive? And we are fully supportive of discs and backwards compatibility?
Tom Warren over at The Verge seemed to think that hadn't been finalised over Xbox, but I would read that as they're seriously considering it, but they're probably very much watching what happens with the Sony decision right now. They're probably being aware of the Grand Theft Auto decision.
Yeah.
And potentially even aware of the Sony decision, decide, let's delay making this decision as long as possible.
Let's also not pretend they didn't do it first. The Series S was digital only.
Yes.
But they got away with it because they had an option. I don't know why I said option weird there. Option of a Series X console, which came with a disc drive. Which I didn't mind that approach. We didn't mind that approach. We both got a Series S.
Yeah. PlayStation had two versions, a discless and a disc version. And it's like, fine, you give options. We like options.
And now they're just giving a dickless version.
In the disc version, just save your money. I always did the rationale though. It's like the upgrade, the increased price, was completely offset very quickly by the decreased price in physical games. So
yeah,
there was no financial sense to it.
So I think this would be a huge optical win for Xbox, but I think if we're optical, but if we're honest with ourselves,
Sony make the discs.
I think if we're honest with ourselves, though, I think Helix was probably all going to be all digital, and I think as much as it would get them lots of goodwill, again, if we're talking about a company that's going to be pinching pennies, Microsoft and Xbox have been doing it more cutthroat than anybody else. So if they go, how much is a disc drive? Nah, we don't need it.
Do you want to know another part of prediction here? Sony it's already been reported that some of the factories that produce discs, like Blu-rays, by Sony, not PlayStation, Sony, are getting repurposed for other purposes, which is what repurposing is, which means that Sony are going to be producing less discs in general, in and out of the gaming industry. I've got a feeling they're going to slap on a higher premium to other distributors, to things like Xbox. So if Xbox want to make a physical copy, you have to pay more because we're not producing as many.
Yeah, so just squeeze them out.
It's economy of scale. They're going to still make profit on it. They're not producing as many, so the price goes up. So that's going to put Xbox in another situation. Do they develop another disc format? Do they stay and pay extra premium? And Sony could just pull the plug at any point, leave them in a precarious situation, or you just go, you know what? Let's just take the fucking bullet, same as Sony.
Which I think is the reality. I think that's where it's going to go. I think with Helix being more PC anyway, and the Series S being the kind of footprint, I think it seems like it. I mean, in this Pure Xbox article, they asked, "Do you think Helix will have a disc drive?" They had 2,500 votes, 51% maybe, but only as an optional add-on. 22% said no, 27% said yes. I sit in the camp of I don't think it will. I think the Helix will just be.
I was going to say, I think Xbox could use this like the fire into the next generation by having a disc version. But truthfully, I think by the time Helix comes out, by the time PS6 comes out, we're probably about a year and a half, 2 years removed from this conversation.
Yeah.
Tempers
and the dust will have settled.
The dust has settled. People have accepted their fate.
That's what happens. I think unless PlayStation can't escape from this in the internet, like if you look at anything they post, they put a new Wolverine trailer out last week, and it got absolutely hammered in the comments for just disc rhetoric.
You know what?
And it's hilarious?
I really hope it's not going to happen. I do have no faith in this, that if practically nobody bought Wolverine digital and physical sales just
really hurt
huge,
them.
That's the way to show it you mean business, and that you're overcooking your stats. It's like, oh, you know what? Because of this decision, I will switch back over to physical while I still can. And just
speak with your wallet.
But the problem is, we're talking maybe max 10 to 20% of people routinely, regularly buy digital. Even if every single one of them did it, Sony know that. You need to get the 80% who don't over.
Yeah.
And enough where they don't just go, it's a bit of a protest, let's ignore it.
Well, this is where they know that they've got you over a barrel. Like what we said at the start of the conversation is ultimately when you want to play the next big game, I'm not going to buy Wolverine just because they're doing this stupid thing with physical media. I want to play it. I want to be there day one. I want to play it. Yes, I'm going to buy it physical, but when Intergalactic comes out or Uncharted 5 or The Last of Us 3 or whatever it is, I'm going to be there downloading it day one at midnight or preloading it, whatever the hell you do with digital content, because I want to play the game. And they know that. Everyone will kick up a fuss, but as you said, the dust will settle, and inevitably when the game comes out, we'll all buy it and we'll all shut up and eat our dinner and eat what we're given regardless. Unless Sega make a drastic comeback. I saw a quote last week of the Sega leaders saying, direct quote from them says, "We used to develop game consoles, and of course, we still have a fondness for the physical culture. So rather than completely abandon it, we are currently considering the important elements of digital media and simultaneously trying to make a shift. Even in regions where consoles aren't commonly available, there are a lot of people who are able to play on PC. I think it's important to strengthen our digital products in order to develop this market." He's talking about Japan as a culture of physical media, but I think the necessary that we're conscious of a digital content in order to become more global. So even Sega are like, we don't like it, but it's going to happen.
Yeah. Right. Nintendo.
Are they saving the day?
I think Nintendo are switching over more to these digital signature cards. I can't remember the actual term.
Game keys.
The reality is, though, I've said this for a long time, most of your game isn't on that Blu-ray disc anyway. But the thing with a game key is, as long as I can pull that out my Switch and give it to you, you put it in yours and it works on your account.
Yeah.
That, I think, is probably the way forward, to be honest. Because
that's the nearest thing we're getting to salvation.
Your full game has not been on your disc for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of your when you buy a new game, you put it in your drive and it does this big download. That's not most of that isn't just your day one patch. That's downloading the rest of the game. So for game preservation, I don't think comes into this decision that much as people might think. But for Nintendo, I think that is the key for me. It's physical media, even if it unlocks digital content. So if you can put a physical thing in your console, and then you get access to the game, and then you can trade it on, that combats the anti-consumer side of it. But
there's a great website actually called doesitplay.org, and they've basically taken physical games, and if you look at the website, it says the general playability and content completeness on the disc. So you can go on this website, search for a game, and it will tell you how much of the game is physically on the disc. So for example, Aphelion, which I got the platinum for last week, I go on this, tells you the launch date, offline play, yes. Download required? No. Test notes, overall, a relatively solid build. Locked to 30, blah, 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 goes on. Content complete, played the main story and obtained a majority of collectibles. Additional notes, build number, player numbers, language, etc. Locked in frame rate. Towards the end of the game, a few glitches popped up, such as stuck in a fall animation. Observed one instance where the character got stuck in a wall. Observed one instance of the camera did not follow the character after dropping from a ledge. All issues that I saw with a patch. So this website's fantastic because it basically tells you that how can you finish the game basically without a download required.
Right. Out of curiosity, I went for a recent game, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. No disrespect to Aphelion, a bigger title, a more popular title.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Test notes: 44.48 gigabytes on disk. Works up until the company logos, then requires an online connection to access the main menu.
So no.
That's my point. There. That's a recent example, and a third party as well. I think that I intentionally went third party with this
of a remaster.
Yeah.
What I'd be intrigued, let's have an original look at the Black Flag on PS4. Offline play, yes. Download required, no. Comments, entire campaign is playable offline, voice and subtitles supported, etc, etc. Plays well, no major issues. So, if you got the PS4 version...
Have you played Assassin's Creed before?
Yeah, within reason, you know what I mean. But, again, a fantastic website, by the way. Whoever does itplay.com,
I didn't know about
go support them, go have a look. It's fantastic. Batman Origins on the PS3. Offline play, yes. Download required, no. A couple of test notes in there. TV antenna stuck, some popping observed, combat engagement issues. But content-wise, main story, all side missions there, all extortion data, Dark Knight system completed, Deathstroke DLC are available as a code. Good website. Good website. So in terms of future preservation...
the campaign evolved is not playable.
No surprise there.
I'm just looking at 2026 and picking out some big ones. Atomic Heart is.
What did I play? Banishes, Ghosts of New Eden I was talking about last week, wasn't
Star
it? Base
Fox.
PS5.
Star Fox is playable on the Switch.
Of course it is. Banishes, Ghosts of New Eden. Offline play, yes. Download required, no. Minor content missing or lots of bugs present without a patch. So again, you're not going to get the best version.
007 First Light Specialist Edition PS5 Pro is playable, but also requires a download. So I'm guessing that's probably patching.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But it just shows you there are people out there passionately preserving it. But
Saros,
I guess this good on Housemark. Yeah. I hope Wolverine is. I think Spider-Man's pretty playable as well in its release date. Days Gone won't have been, because Days Gone was issues at launch. But I'm just plucking them out the air now. Yeah. But just goes to show you, the further back you go, if you get back to the PS1, PS2 behind me, those games never really... Unless they got a reprint on disc, they were pretty much the same game from day one to now.
Become more and more...
scarce.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, what are we thinking, Richie? Preservation's all on Nintendo?
I think preservation, because it's always been a sketchy thing anyway. Unless the big players get 100% behind game preservation, it's always going to be difficult. Because when gaming becomes a service that they lease out to you, companies change, they move on. We've seen storefronts get closed down, so you can support a storefront for a long time, but then close the storefront, so that all the games, digital copies, are now gone. And at that point, it's okay, I can't buy them anymore. That's different. But if you can no longer, going back to, this is why I keep bringing the movie situation in, if you can no longer download stuff that you have previously purchased because they have revoked the license to do so, you're fucked.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I guess another tangent is, which we're not going to go into today, but the second-hand market is just done. Like, is CX done for? Any trade-ins? Retro stores are going to... I'm so intrigued to see how, like we said when we went to the retro market a fortnight ago, what will this look like in years to come? Because there's now a definitive chop-off point where PS5 game is the last generation where we could be going to these markets until we're at retirement age, and that collection of games is now sealed in a time capsule of nothing after 2028 will exist.
These retro gaming markets and stuff will start dying out because there's only so many games up for sale.
Yeah.
They rely on
so many
buying
copies.
and selling copies, and eventually some of these games either get damaged or people choose to retain them,
bin them.
Bin them, don't
just chuck them in the bin.
Just collectors, like
stuck in a loft somewhere.
This is not even meant as a dig. It's like collectors don't sell their collections. That's kind of antithetical to what they're trying to do.
Sorry.
So it means that they.
But I would lend you a copy if you wanted to borrow something.
But my point is, they stop circulating. So retro gaming markets require the circulation of content of games.
Yeah. It's exchange and commerce, isn't it? And I think ultimately,
I don't think there's any, from a consumer point of view, this is just bad to the core. Like, even if you haven't bought a physical game in 10 years, you should care about this because they're taking away your options. And when they remove your option to buy physical things, it means they can be harsher with your licensing of your digital content.
And when it's gone,
And
it's gone.
How much do you trust them? And I'm not just pointing the finger at Sony, I'm pointing the finger at Nintendo, I'm pointing the finger at Xbox.
I mean,
I'm pointing the finger at Netflix.
Yeah.
Do
I mean, they're all, it's just, I'd point your finger at capitalism, right? 101. Because it comes back to your point, I think you made on last week's show, of just, ultimately, these things are all safe and sanctioned, yes. But the way everyone, if you're not making enough money, you're not making, what happens, all things said and done, if Microsoft do just decide in another 5-10 years, you know what, Xbox, it's not worth our time, it's not worth our money, shut it down, go software, go whatever, and just the Xbox servers, they don't exist. It happened to Sega. You said at the start of this episode, it's a tale of caution. It's happened before, and I think because we're so far past it, people forget that. Sega were huge. They were competing with Nintendo. They had mascots. They had millions and millions of sales. They were at all the showcases, and now they're just a third-party publisher.
Yeah. But this is one where I really would like to hear like people in the comments or in our Discord server, like giving the views, like different games, different platforms, all the stuff we haven't covered, because I think this is where we're going to have to leave this episode.
I mean, we've got 2 years until the disc ends, so it's gonna. I'm sure there's a few more bumps in the road between now and 2028. Yeah. Well, but it ain't looking rosy, folks. It ain't looking rosy. Don't look forward, look back, and enjoy the history.
Talking about history, Chris, we like to round up every show with This Week in Video Game History. Starting on July the 31st. Anything jump out at you?
Oh, well. 37 years ago today. 37 years ago, in 1989, the original Game Boy released. That fella up there he is. And the Game Boy.
And you have a copy of, I don't know, Super Mario Land or Tetris. It still works.
It does. It does, in fact. I'll get them both down. I don't have batteries in the original grey one because it takes 4.
I'm confused. I went to the bottom. Listen, Adventures of Elliot, Millennium Tales is on there for the Switch 2 a year ago. That's got to be an error.
Oh, yeah, definitely an error because it came out like a month ago.
Yeah.
But, as you said, with the colour...
Works. Oh, that's nostalgia right there.
And you know what? The other day I was sat playing it with my daughter and she was getting killed by Goombas, as you do.
Well,
but
let's
2 batteries in the back. It works.
Let's wrap things up. I don't want to dig any deeper. We've got the Game Boy. You're not topping that today.
No, not at all.
Right. My name's been Richard.
37 years. My name's been Chris. 37 years later.
Yeah. GG, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.